think about the sustained beatings that he passes out? When he fights, it's the way he gets on top of people and just destroys them.
Man, he over there trying to chop everybody's head off. I'm telling you like this, man. I sit there, man, I just look, I'm like, there's no way. Like, you gotta go over there and just like, boom, right on the top like that, right?
Conditioning, he's a volume puncher, and, you know, I think it's just that little bit of a press that he was putting on that, you know, let that referee feel, you know, the way that he felt to jump in. But, you know, he was pressing, he was opening up, he was starting to throw wide, and that's where, you know, the veteran has an opportunity to shine. I'm telling you, man, the fans were loving it. The action was getting real. There was no need to just stop it right then and right there, you know. But, you know, once again, I'm not that beat up. I can fight more, and we'll see what happens, man. But it was a good fight. I wanted a great fight, and I think if it went just a few more minutes, I mean, something great would happen. Or maybe I would have got dropped, and
incredible performance inside the ring against Thurman.
I'm very happy with my performance, of course. I think it was a great performance. You know, just a lot of training in this camp. But we've been training for him since August of last year. So, you know, it was unfortunate that we couldn't fight in October. But you know, we stay training. We stay getting ready for this former Hall of Famer and you know, show tonight. I take my hat off to Keith. Of course, he's a great former champion. Like I said, a future Hall of Famer for sure. But no, we trained very hard for this fight, and we made sure that we crossed our T's and dotted our I's, so that performance from him wouldn't be nothing crazy for us to handle. I'm very comfortable with the WBC. I've been saying this over and over again. I'll fight these.
But before we go too crazy, remember the guys that he's beaten recently. He beat Costas, he beat, what's his name, Zoo. He beat Zoo, who he had beaten once before in a controversial fight where Zoo was bleeding very badly. And before he fought him in a rematch, Zoo had been knocked out. So he beats Zoo, and then he beats, you know, Thurman, who's been very inactive, moved up in weight, and was a huge underdog for those reasons. So let him beat somebody, maybe a little bit of a higher level of thought.
To be honest, I already kind of knew that, you know, Fundora, super young right now, super tall, and Keith Thurman, you know, at the end of the day, you know, he was a great fighter, he was a good fighter, but he had a lot of tough fights. But, you know, I thought Keith was going to give him a little bit of trouble, you know, and take him to deep waters and test him a little bit. But, you know, when Fundora threw the right hand the first time, he kind of got him, and, you know, that's when like, oh, man, you know, Fundora, I think it's too much for him. Fundora looked really good. He used his distance, his body shots, and straight punches and everything. I think, in my opinion, he looked really good. And Keith Thurman, you know, he tried. And it was a great stoppage, in my opinion. You know, it's good. You know, when they stopped the fight and I saw his face, I was like, damn, you know.
Sebastian Fundora just got accused of cheating, and the boxing world is absolutely losing its mind over what happened to Keith Thurman's face.
He throws a rear uppercut from long range. He throws a lead uppercut from mid range. So he's a wildly dangerous puzzle to figure out. And Keith had no answer. And I guess in hindsight, that's probably not that surprising. Keith was not a 54-pounder. But yeah, it was underwhelming, I should say.
I expected a little more from Keith. Talks the big game. You know, had that illustrious run at 147, but ultimately, like I said, Father Time over one time. Father Time gets everybody. He just looks slow. The legs weren't there, and also you're fighting a guy like you said with the 80-inch reach, and is also knows how to use it now. That's what we're seeing from Fundora. Is first couple of fights.
Look at this damage. Fans are saying there's no way normal gloves did this to Thurman. They're claiming Fundora's gloves were tampered with, and honestly, the evidence is pretty wild.
Zoo fight was impressive. The second Zoo fight is where I think now Fundora can settle in now, and this is like what he's going to be. He's going to be a guy that pumps his jab. He's going to be a guy that throws power shots and lands power shots. I mean, his jab was really impressive. He threw 44 jabs per round in this fight. We're talking about a guy that never used to throw the jab. We always wondered, why does he fight on the inside when he has a bajillion-inch reach advantage over his opponents? But he's now settling in, and he started with the jab, and then he didn't even get out of first gear. Like, did you see? I didn't see Fundora exert any extra energy in this fight. He stuck behind his jab and threw short, concise power shots and just kept finding a home for them until the fight was ultimately stopped. I think Fundora is really coming into his own, but we gotta see.
Here's what's really getting people fired up. One fan posted, "Fundora is an unfair cheat code. If everyone ducked him, I wouldn't blame them." That's not just trash talk. That's fighters genuinely scared.
Round 5, it was just one-way traffic from here on out. There was almost nothing coming back from Thurman, and his face showed the story of the fight. And in the next round, this pressure kept going. Fundora kept laying it on, pushing Thurman onto the back foot, which caused the referee to step in to stop the fight. He saw too much. Although Thurman was still moving, he wasn't really throwing anything back, and he was copping too much damage. It was common sense why the ref stepped in to stop it. But with this win, Fundora has cemented himself as one of the toughest champs at 154. The Fundora we saw against Mendoza is dead. He now really knows how to use his advantages beautifully. He didn't give Thurman space to breathe. He controlled that distance.
But wait, it gets worse. This isn't the first time. Remember Tim Tishayu? Same exact thing happened. Severe head wound, impaired vision, suspicious damage that had people asking questions.
Love watching him. He was one time, he then turned into run time, as many people called him, but he still had really fun fights. Like his fight against Sean Porter in the Barclays Center back in 2016, 10 years ago now. That was a great fight. It was competitive, it was close, but it was action from start to finish. It was brilliant. He then goes and he fights Danny Garcia. And that wasn't as fun, but it was still a good fight. And it was still Danny Garcia. I think Danny Garcia was still, peak Danny Garcia at the time. It wasn't that long removed from the Amir Khan fight, 5 years, but it's still reasonably good Danny Garcia. And you're thinking, right, Keith Thurman, the world's at your feet right now. You're unified champion at 147 pounds. Floyd Mayweather was getting ready to fight McGregor. You could be saying right now that he's gone, I'm the guy, this, that, and the other. You'd Kell Brook with so many things going. So many good options, so many good opportunities. And he sits out well over a year. In fact, he sits out the whole of 2018.
And get this, Fundora reportedly won't even chase undisputed status. Why? Because he knows other sanctioning bodies won't protect him like the WBC does. That's sketchy as hell.
An early March at that. He sits out the whole of 2017, the whole of 2018, comes back against Josecito Lopez in January. I think it was Josecito Lopez anyway. In January 2019. Doesn't look good in that fight. And then loses to Manny Pacquiao. Spends, 3 years nearly out of the ring? Fights Mario Barrios, and wins that. And then has another, 3 years of inactivity to then fight Brock Javez, a guy who had previously lost at 140 pounds. And I think he'd fought even lighter than that, to now getting this fight with Sebastian Fundora. I have described the last 7 years of Keith Thurman's career like that, because there's been so little to talk about. I don't understand it. I don't get where the inactivity came from. I don't get the reason behind it. I don't get that he takes these 2-year breaks, comes back, has one fight, and then waits another 2 years.
Teddy Atlas just reminded everyone about the Tishayu fight. He's basically saying this is a pattern. 2 fights, 2 opponents with brutal facial damage that doesn't add up. Here's where it gets absolutely wild. Chris Algery broke down the fight and said Thurman didn't truly fight and looked atrocious. But if Thurman was that bad, how did his face get destroyed like that? Winky Wright noticed something else. Thurman was moving constantly, burning energy, but Fundora just applied relentless pressure, almost like he knew exactly when Thurman would break. The height advantage is real. Fundora's 80-inch reach is basically impossible to replicate in sparring, but fans are saying that's not the real issue. They're claiming there's something else going on. Multiple boxing analysts are now saying Thurman wasted his prime years with inactivity. But here's the kicker. If Thurman was past his prime, why did the ref have to stop it for brutal facial damage? Listen to this. Fundora went from looking awkward and uncoordinated early in his career to suddenly becoming this devastating finisher. That kind of transformation doesn't happen overnight without something changing. The boxing community is split. Some say Fundora's just using his physical advantages. Others are pointing to a pattern of suspicious facial damage that keeps happening to his opponents. So here's what we're looking at. 2 major fights, 2 opponents with severe facial injuries, and a fighter who won't chase undisputed status because he needs specific protection. The evidence is piling up, and fans aren't buying the official story. What do you think is really going on here? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Smash that like button if this opened your eyes, and subscribe because this controversy is just getting started. But here's what nobody's talking about. The Nevada State Athletic Commission actually inspected Fundora's gloves before both the Thurman and Tishayu fights. They passed inspection. So either the commission is completely incompetent or something else is happening that we're not seeing. And check this out, former world champion Paulie Malignaggi just went on record saying the damage patterns don't match normal punching gloves. He's seen thousands of fights, and according to him, this type of facial laceration usually comes from illegal modifications or foreign objects. The timing is suspicious too. Fundora's team always wraps his hands in private, away from cameras. Most fighters do their hand wrapping in full view of officials and opponents' representatives. Why the secrecy? What are they hiding back there? Here's the smoking gun that has everyone talking. A ringside photographer captured images of Fundora's gloves between rounds, and fans are claiming you can see irregularities in the padding structure. The images went viral on Twitter with over 50,000 retweets in just 6 hours. Former referee Tony Weeks dropped a bombshell yesterday. He said, quote, "In 30 years of officiating, I've never seen consistent facial damage like this from one fighter. Something needs to be investigated." When a legendary ref calls you out, that's not good. But Fundora's camp is firing back hard. His trainer Al Heyman released a statement saying all these accusations are just jealousy from fighters who can't handle his unique physical attributes. They're threatening legal action against anyone spreading false cheating allegations. The WBC president Mauricio Suleiman is staying suspiciously quiet. Usually he's all over social media defending his champions. But with Fundora, radio silence. That's telling, especially when major boxing personalities are demanding answers.